400,000 to 1 million people die every year because of diseases and accidents linked to poorly managed waste in developing countries. Over 100,000 marine animals die due to the plastic debris in the oceans. How much longer are we going to be safe? Greetings to all. What do you see right here in this picture? Indeed, that's a plastic pen. And this pen is just a tiny seed to what we humans do to this world. Our careless and selfish acts are the roots to the undermining of our very world. We often use pens in our day to day life. But when the ink runs dry, do we buy a refill or do we buy a whole new pen itself? You see, every new pen that we buy, every single paper that we waste, every battery that we throw away, every morsel of food that we discard, and every drop of water that we drain, sooner or later turns back on us. Now, we have learned a lot about this over the years. Do you think it's time to unlearn some of these things? Well, fortunately, the answer is yes. Otherwise, the repercussions will be even worse. Just to give you a few examples, the seabird, the beautiful albatross, dies so frequently nowadays due to the plastic they eat mistaken for food. Recently, in Chennai, India, 52 kilograms of plastic was surgically removed from the stomach of a cow. Who's responsible? Us, human beings. Once I was traveling by train back in India. Suddenly, my eyes fixed on the mountains that I saw outside, standing so majestically out there that I didn't want to shift my sight off them. But then, I noticed a lady sitting opposite to me, carelessly discarding a plastic bottle through the window. I watched as this bottle flew straight towards the mountain that I was adoring. And right when the bottle hit the mountain, it hit me that my mountains were actually just heaps and heaps of plastic. While the lady being elder to me, I didn't tell her anything at that time. But then I thought to myself, couldn't she have waited a little bit longer and carefully discarded that bottle in a dustbin? Looking through the windows of that train, I saw how absent minded and negligent we are in keeping our world safe. Well, these are just some of the unfortunate parts. The fortunate part, however, is that coming out of this situation is not as difficult as we think it is. So, how do we start? The first step is to identify all the plastic things you use. So take a brief pause. Look around you. Have you noticed those packagings over a granola bar or a chips packet? Plastic. Another thing that we all love doing is chewing gums, right? Well, believe it or not, gum is made up of a synthetic rubber, aka plastic. Most of us carry scales and rulers wherever we go, and many of us have plastic rulers. Now, let's just say that one ruler is about 20 grams, and there are about 2,000 of us in a school. How much does that add up to? 40 kilograms of plastic? And this is just one school that we're talking about. Plastic is enrooted in everything around us, and we have turned blind to its existence. Now, how do we unblind ourselves? For that, it is necessary to understand the difference between single-use plastic items and plastics that can be reused. Now, single-use plastic items, as the name suggests, are plastic items like cups, straws, water bottles that are used once and then thrown away, or if discarded properly, gets recycled. The other kind of plastic is less dangerous as it can be recycled, which is absolutely no excuse to using them because they end up being thrown in the end as well. However, we will now concentrate on the single-use plastic items. So how do we start? Let's start at our schools. We all see pasta and lasagna in our school canteens. But how do they come? In a plastic container. Have you ever wondered where it goes after we finish eating them? Now, I know how hard it is to literally concentrate on anything when you're devouring a scrumptious meal, but these are things you ought to know. Now, I remember whenever my mom comes into my room and tells me to clean it up, I just go take my pile of clothes and dump it straight into the cupboard. And then my mom would come and tell me, Andria, it's not about cleaning it. It's about cleaning it properly. Don't you see? This is exactly what we're doing to our earth. Waste segregation and sending plastic off to recycling centers might seem like a good option, but many countries have reported that these recycling centers are overflowing with plastic, that it's becoming extremely difficult to contain all of it. On the contrary, Just having a lookout on the plastic being used in your community itself can play a substantial role in the reduction of this seemingly endless amount of plastic. Now, does anyone here have plastic bags full of plastic bags in their homes, or is it just me? Plastic is prevailing so much around the world, but many countries are actually taking initiatives to eradicate this plastic. Just to state a few examples, Ireland was the first country to place a significant tax on plastic bags. And the impact was so massive that they noticed that the plastic usage reduced by a stunning 94%, that the usage of plastic became unacceptable by the end of the year. The United Nations Environment Program launched the hashtag Clean the Seas campaign to reduce plastic from the deepest, darkest parts of the oceans. Now, what more do you need when a country has actually found ways to make plastic out of wood? Yes, you heard me right. I said wood. The VTT Technical Research Center of Finland has created a compostable multi-layer material from wood byproducts, which contains cellulose that is an abundant polymer that can be used to create such an amazing alternative to the dangerous plastic that we are using now. I highly recommend that other countries look into these initiatives and try to implement them in their countries as well. Now, that reminds me of something we can start off in our schools, something we've already started executing in mind. A green school campaign. That's what I propose. And this here is the logo that I've created for the same. Now, this campaign is no ordinary one. This is something that's going to bring about a change. So how about we start out by bringing our own containers along with a spoon and a fork? Yes, you guessed right. Not plastic containers. Glass, steel, anything at all. Even bioplastic, which can easily be made at our homes with the vegetable peels that are left to be discarded. Moreover, bioplastic is more eco-friendly and biodegradable as compared to plastic. Now, to make this more encouraging, schools can launch a badge system to find the most environmentally conscious student like we now do in our school. They're judged based on how they've led a plastic-free, ecologically conscious life. Attending workshops designed monthly and quarterly in our schools and communities, recycling goods, and etc. are just some of the criteria. Our school has even taken the initiative for us students from grades 4 to 10 to write the Green Olympiad examination to understand more about our environment. Making a classroom or a home garden from plastic tubs and ice cream bottles, or switching over to pens made of bamboo or other natural materials are just some of the numerous methods taken up by the Eco Club members in my school. But no points for buying something plastic just so that it can be recycled, of course. Finding ways to reuse the single-use plastic items can be given extra points. It was after this initiative when I reflected and realized that we are doing only 0.0001% of what we're supposed to do to save our Earth. I believe that unlearning the fact that plastic is an amazing thing for us to use is not enough. It's only when we relearn and foresee the harmful aftermath of it will we be motivated to reduce its usage. So let's unlearn our dependency on plastic and relearn in the process. Unlearning isn't easy, no doubt. But let's try and strive to be environmentally conscious. Conscious enough that one day this process is automated. So that one day we're blindly environmentally conscious. So the next time you see someone being irresponsible, tell them politely. If they refuse, show them how it's done. Let's all be ecologically conscious, for as someone rightly said, we do not inherit this earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Thank you.